Good evening and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Rohnert Park City Council meeting, Tuesday, October the 14th. My name is Gerard Giudice. I'm your mayor. And would you please call the roll, Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Adams is absent. Councilmember Elward?
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez is absent. Vice Mayor Sanborn?
Here.
Mayor Giudice?
Present. Okay, will you please stand and join me for the land acknowledgement? And then Mr. Patterson will lead us in the pledge to the flag. The City of Rohnert Park acknowledges indigenous peoples as the traditional stewards of the land. Let it be acknowledged that the City of Rohnert Park is located within the traditional homelands of the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria, comprised of Coast Miwok and Southern Pomo peoples. Please. You have every heart, everybody. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We're going to start with a letter to Mayor Giudice from Hashimoto, Japan's mayor. And we've got Teresa Molino and Danny Kingsbury. Please, welcome and good evening. How are you tonight? We appreciate you coming down.
All right, thank you so much for having us tonight. I just first want to do a special thanks to some community members that were extremely helpful in getting us prepared for this trip and their contributions. Lisa from the Chamber of Commerce, Cindy from the Community Center, Ms. Knappman from the Sister City program, and then in addition to that, Adam from Parliament and Rob from Old Cas, they contributed as well. All right. So Teresa was going to Japan to visit some family, and she invited me, so of course I said I would love to. The thing is, I told her that if I go, I really want to, while in Japan, I really want to check out our sister city, Hashimoto. And so she loved that idea, and so we got in contact with the Hashimoto International Friendship Association. And they were beyond helpful. They were incredible. They put together a whole itinerary for us. They picked us up from the airport, brought us to dinner, took us to the hotel, picked us up in the morning. They took us to the city hall where we were greeted. We had the red carpet rolled out by over 25 people. They were all super duper welcoming. They took us to the ancient sacred site of Koyasan. It's absolutely beautiful, ancient, lots of temples and such. And yeah, with that, I'd also like to say that I was really inspired by their association, and I think that it inspired me to think about what we could do as a city. As Rohnert Park, we could expand our program, something like theirs, International Friendship Program, and to include more than just student exchange program, kind of expand our program for cultural exchange. And with that, I do have some photos from the trip. And then I'd like to present the letter from the mayor. All right. So yeah, we had a layover in Vancouver. This is us getting picked up. Some of the members of the International Friendship Association. This is where they took us to eat. Yeah, this is the first meal I had in Japan. It was amazing. This is them picking us up to take us. Unfortunately, we don't have any pictures of the actual welcoming at the city hall, but this is them picking us up bright and early in the morning. They were very early. Yeah, and this is us presenting the letter, and some gifts. They were extremely grateful. They were blown away.
I want to throw something in here.
Please.
The gifts are very representative of Rohnert Park specifically.
Yeah.
We really looked for craftsmanship from Rohnert Park. So we selected things that were made right here, as well as other things that were made in Sonoma County as a whole. But we did want to represent Rohnert Park, Katati, really specifically our region and what we do here. So
yeah. All right. And then, yeah, that's the city of Hashimoto from the mountain on the way to Koyasan. Yeah, persimmons are really a specialty crop for them. That was on the side of the road. I thought that was very pretty. Yeah, this is the very first temple. It's the gates of Koyasan. These figures represent the beginning and the end. It's very significant. Yeah, Miss Kuniko Mayakani, she was amazing. She was our guide to Koyasan. She spoke excellent English. She was really a sweet lady. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, just more pictures of Koyasan, just how pretty it is, really. Flowers were in bloom. On the left, the video isn't working, but on the left, you see me walking around, and if you push the whole building around, you achieve enlightenment. So I'm enlightened. So yeah, more pictures of Koyasan. It's a very special site to the people of Hashimoto City, so they were very excited to show us. Here we go. Yeah, this is an ancient cemetery. It was just breathtaking. Got lots of pictures of that. Oh yeah, and then this is the Kanono Brewery. It's Hashimoto's first brewery, and its only brewery right now. And their water is very special. They take pride in their water. It's very pure. It comes from like aquifers, and anyways, they make beer out of it, as well as, they bathe in it and drink it. But yeah, they're very proud of their water, and yeah, this is us at the brewery.
Presenting
and, we are presenting some beer from Rohnert Park, from Parliament and Old Kaz. And yeah, I can just say that they could learn something from our beer. It was good. It was really good. But yeah.
They were so appreciative. The owner of the brewery actually tracked Danny down to reach out to him personally and thank him for bringing that beer all the way from Rohnert Park. So they were very impressed with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a Japanese bath. I highly recommend, if anybody gets an opportunity, to check one of those out. Yeah, more shots from around the resort that we were staying. There's more to the center picture, but those are all different kinds of soy sauce that they have for breakfast. And then, yeah, on the left, that's just a picture from around town, just a truck that had a bush growing out of it. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, it was an incredible experience.
Thank you. I believe, Teresa, you want to read the letter?
Well, I think Danny's going to present you with the letter, and I will bring the brochures that they gave you.
Okay.
So,
All right.
we'll do that.
All right. Would you like me to read it?
If you'd like to, go right ahead, and then we'll take a picture and have some comments from council.
All right. It says, all right. Dear Mayor, Rohnert Park, Mr. Gerard Judas, sorry.
That's okay.
I am Tetsuro Hiraki, the mayor of Hashimoto City in Wakayama Prefecture, Japan, which is your sister city. It is my pleasure to have received such a heartwarming letter from you and to have welcomed 2 community members from Rohnert Park who visited Hashimoto City. The long-standing sister city relationship with Rohnert Park includes the exchanges of students, ambassadors of goodwill, and is truly invaluable. I am sincerely delighted to learn that your city has experienced a period of growth and transformation with successful investments in parks and public spaces, strengthening of infrastructure, and expansion of community services. I hope that both cities will continue to uphold and strengthen our friendship further. It is my wish that the sister city community of your city resumes its activities and continues fostering exchange in collaboration with our city's International Friendship Association. I extend my heartfelt wishes for the continued prosperity and happiness of your city, including Mayor, City Council, and the people of Rohnert Park. Sincerely, Tetsuro Hiraki, Mayor of Hashimoto City, Wakayama Prefecture.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have some comments from council? Council member?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, for me, just learning and discovering different cultures is amazing, and actually to go there and learning about their culture. I wish that our children can have that experience, especially with everything going on around the world. But thank you for making us dream and travel with you over there, and hopefully I'm considering going there.
Yeah,
There you go.
absolutely.
Vice Mayor?
I'll just add that, it would have been one thing for you to go and say, we had a lovely time, here's the letter, but I feel like bringing the pictures to share with us in your story, it really helped bring it to life for some of us who might not make it to Hashimoto anytime in the next few years. But I've heard beautiful things about Japan. I know that my daughter will be traveling there when she gets a little bit older, and so I'm very excited to be able to share with her a little bit about our sister city.
Thanks. Yeah, international travel and fellowship and, exchange, all of this builds international peace, understanding, cultural awareness. And so thank you on behalf of the city of Rohnert Park for taking this adventure and reaching out to folks on the other side of the planet and making the world seem a lot smaller and a lot more friendly than sometimes it appears. So with that, we'd like to take a picture. You said that there were some people who were involved, and I see that Lisa from the chamber is not here, but Cindy, Director Bagley is. Was there anyone else in the audience that was involved with the program? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, then we'll get all of us up and we'll take a little picture.
Except for the spiders. One, two, three.
These are brochures from the city to this one in particular. The city council has an education department, and that person contacted the schools, and the school children put this brochure together for the city. So I just thought it was a brilliant idea, and I'm so glad that they shared that with you. And the person.
Okay, we'll continue with the presentations. The mayor's proclamation proclaiming October 2025 as Filipino American History Month in the city of Rohnert Park, and I believe we have a public comment on this. Please, Mr. Alexander, approach the podium. Go right ahead.
Peter Alexander. When I look at this Filipino-American history, I keep thinking to myself, why does Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta get all the press when it was actually the Filipino farmers that started the great grape boycott? And I would really like to see that made more public. I'd like to see who the names were of these people that brought along Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta to do this boycott. They did so much of the farming in this area that I just don't understand why this has been ignored for so long. So maybe they can give us some answers when they speak. And so I'm a big fan of gardens in general, so I would ask everybody here to encourage not just the Filipinos and the Hispanics, but everyone to get involved in many more gardens. I know that in Los Angeles there was a 14-acre South Los Angeles Urban Gardens For quite a while, it was just people from South America, but the governor tore them down after 20 years because they didn't want working people or poor people growing their own food. But see, we're in the best place in the world to grow all this food, and we could use the wisdom of a lot of these Filipino farmers and Mexican, Hispanic farmers. They know how to work the soil like magic. So that's what I wish to share, and thank you for a few moments of your time. And I'd like to see us, like Petaluma Bounty Garden, they're talking about taking it away. And I always said there should be 40 or 400 of them, and I believe that should be in every town to have several hundred large gardens for the people. I can't understand how in a county that's attributed to Luther Burbank, we actually have Safeway and Lucky Stores. I really don't understand that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Rohnert Park proclaiming October 2025 as Filipino American History Month. Whereas Filipino American History Month is observed each October to honor the history, heritage, and contribution of Filipino Americans in the United States. Whereas the Filipino community has been part of American history since October 1587, when the first documented Filipinos arrived in present-day Morro Bay, California, marking more than 4 centuries of shared history. Whereas Filipino Americans have significantly enriched the cultural, civic, economic, and social fabric of our nation and our city through their leadership, their service, and traditions. Whereas this month provides an opportunity to recognize and to celebrate the countless contributions of Filipino Americans, as well as to increase awareness and appreciation for their enduring impact on our community. Whereas the city of Rohnert Park proudly recognizes Kabayan Filipino Market for its role in preserving Filipino heritage, serving our community, and sharing the richness of Filipino culture, food, and traditions with residents and visitors alike. Whereas we recognize how Filipino Americans have initiated efforts to ensure Filipino voices are heard, experiences are recognized, and histories are told. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that I, Gerard Giudice, as mayor, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Filipino American History Month, and encourage all our residents to learn more about and celebrate the rich history, vibrant culture, and local contributions of Filipino Americans, with special recognition to Kabayan Filipino Market for its contributions to our community. I would like to welcome Army Rivera, business owner from Kabayan, to come up and say a few words. Please, welcome. Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I don't have much prepared, but I just want to say thank you for having me and having Kabayan in Rohnert Park. We really appreciate, and I am here to bridge the gap of the lack of representation of Filipino. Again, thank you for the community, for everyone, for coming. And we just celebrated our 2nd year anniversary on Saturday. So I wanted to invite, again, everybody here to please come and see what we have. And we have a lot of authentic Filipino products from the Philippines. And we're here to serve everyone, not just Rohnert Park, but the whole of Sonoma County. So again, thank you so much.
Yes, you do, and it's delicious. Before we start, I'd like to welcome Councilmember Rodriguez to come on up so she can participate in the accolades. And I'll start with Councilmember Elward, please. And don't go far away. We're going to take a picture.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree that the lack of representation sometimes is difficult, especially when you're trying to bring the culture and to try to have people to learn about the beauty and the passion of your people. But we are happy you are here, and that, the Filipino, instead of going to Vallejo, it's right here. So you saved me like an hour to 2 hour trip. So that's a plus. And congratulations on your 2nd year. And remember, there will always there is always a need to advocate. Nobody else will advocate for your people or for yourself better than you do. So for you having the Kabayan store in the city of Rohnert Park, not only I take pride about always bragging about how the city of Rohnert Park bring diversity, but having you there is also showing that we are all one and we need to stay together and stick together. So you are always welcome here. This is your house and this is your place, and we are all kind of come and support as we always do. So thank you.
Please. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations again, Army, on second year. I know that was a lot of work, and not just to be in Rohnert Park, but for the entirety of Sonoma County. I know, similar to what Councilmember Elward says, although it's specific, Filipino market, there's still a lot of stuff in there that other community members use. You guys have great yuca, and the banana leaves when my family makes tamales. So it's great to have it and to see the community and to just, it's almost become a third space. I drive by a couple times or stop in and you can see people chatting, similar to what we see in coffee shops and whatnot. And so I think it's been such an incredible addition to the community and the work that you've poured into it as well. So thank you again. And hopefully, I actually just sent an email to Senator Cabaldon because he'll be visiting here in November to check it out as well. So I think it'll be great and we'll be in touch. Congratulations again.
Please.
I will echo all of those sentiments. We are so excited for you to celebrate 2 years. For any business, that's a really huge milestone, and you really are a part of this community, and we are so grateful. It's a beautiful store. They have so many good things, it's kind of hard to know where to stop. But thank you so much, and congratulations, and we look forward to many more years of having you here.
Yeah. If you go into your store, for one thing, you'll come out with about 15. And I learned that lesson a few times. And it's a wonderful market. And as the speaker pointed out, Filipino Americans have played a significant role in the development of Rohnert Park. It's a great cultural piece that we have here in Rohnert Park, and we're very proud of it, and we're very proud of you. And yeah, so just thank you very much. And we're going to go ahead and take a picture if you guys want to come on up. Okay. Now we're going to do Mayor's Proclamation recognizing World Polio Day here in Rohnert Park. And I'll read the proclamation, and then we'll invite Wolf and Darren to come up and say a few words.
Mayor Giudice, there is a public comment for this item.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Oh, it's, okay. Oh, okay, sorry. I recognize Peter Alexander, please. Sorry about that, Peter.
No. That's fine, that's fine. I'm here and polio is a kind of terrible thing. I've known people that had polio, and of course they have it all their life when they have it. And so I want to be speaking in support of all good efforts, but at the same time, I would caution any and all to know a very simple, true fact that most all doctors at this time, at this age, what's going on in this world, they don't know what's in the vaccines. They only know what they're told is in the vaccine. So I would do a lot of hard work before taking any vaccines whatsoever, and I would humbly invite people to consider looking up 3 sites, and one is educateyourself.org, the other one is rents.com, and the other one is stopthecrime.net, and just look and read about the vaccines. And again, there has been a lot of vaccines in the past that were utilized and saved a lot of people. The one that started off with a cantaloupe, that saved a lot of people after World War II, millions of people. But there's also been the misuse of these things for the opposite effects. So that's where I would advise you to do a lot of research and maybe some prayer. And thank you for doing some good public services with acknowledging the positiveness of polio vaccines that were helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and read the proclamation of the Mayor of City of Rohnert Park recognizing October 24th, 2025 as World Polio Day. Whereas in 1985, Rotary International launched Polio Plus and spearheaded the Global Polio Eradication Initiative with the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and UNICEF to immunize the children of the world against polio. Whereas polio cases have dropped 99% since 1988, and the world stands on the threshold of eradicating the disease. Whereas, as of June 2025, Rotary members have contributed more than $2.6 billion, countless volunteer hours to end polio now, and along with our partners, immunize over 400 million children every year. Whereas these efforts are providing much-needed operational support, medical personnel, laboratory equipment, and education materials for health workers and parents. Whereas Rotary clubs in Rohnert Park and throughout the world have sponsored service projects to address issues such as poverty, health, hunger, illiteracy, and the eradication of polio worldwide. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that I, Gerard Giudice, as the mayor of the city of Rohnert Park, do hereby proclaim October 24, 2025 as Polio Awareness Day in Rohnert Park. Please come on up and say a few words, and then we'll have the council contribute as well.
All right. Mayor Giudice, fellow council members, city staff, thank you for recognizing this important issue. My name is Wolf Reinhold. I'm currently the secretary of the Rotary Club of Rohnert Park Cotati. I'm also a past district governor for our entire Rotary district, which goes from Petaluma all the way up to Crescent City. So I've seen clubs in action. I'm here with fellow Rotarians, Mayor Giudice, City Manager Marcella, and Chief Matos, and Darren Patterson. So in 1988, only 37 years ago, there were still over 350,000 cases of polio each year in more than 125 countries. Some of you may remember Shriners Hospital for Crippled Children on 19th Avenue in San Francisco. Most of those were polio cases. While this disease has essentially disappeared in first world countries, it still does exist, and as such, continues to be a risk. Polio affects children mainly under 5 years old. There is no cure, but it is preventable by vaccine. I have personally had the privilege of actually vaccinating children in the slums of Gujarat, India, ensuring that they never contract polio. And let me tell you, that's a very, very heartwarming experience. Today, year to date, there have only been 35 cases worldwide of polio in 2 endemic countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And most of that is in war-torn regions where you just can't get workers to immunize the children. But as long as a single child remains infected, children in all countries are at risk of contracting polio. Failure to eradicate polio from these last remaining strongholds can result in a global resurgence of the disease. It only takes a car ride, bus ride, train ride, or plane ride before we can see a resurgence of this disease, as we saw with measles a few years ago and are currently seeing again in Texas. While it is a top priority for Rotary to eradicate this disease, one does not have to be a Rotarian to join in the fight. Anyone can contribute to the cause. any donations to Polio Plus or to Polio Plus is actually matched 2-to-1 by the Gates Foundation. And Bill Gates is a Rotarian. So yeah, if you donate $100, they'll donate $200, which means your contribution just became $300. So I invite you all to join the fight and end polio now. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Some comments from my colleagues, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It kind of scared me a little bit. I was what's going on there. That is a really good segue. Coming from the third world country, a lot of time I see how here in America we don't realize how lucky we are to access those vaccines, and a lot of time we become so entitled that we reject the same thing that many countries will die to have. In my own country, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I know that Rotary have gone there and have saved a lot of lives. And with the way things are heading, all I'm gonna ask, don't give up, because there's gonna be a lot of discouragement, a lot of attacks. But every time when you feel discouraged, think about those children that you helped. Some of my age, some are younger, some, I don't know, maybe older, that will always be thankful to see that there are some people that still care, and that's what matters. And I know that in the countries that are still dealing with war, polio vaccines are so needed, but they don't have access. So please continue the campaign, don't stop, because there are so many children that look up to that little drop that you put in their mouth. Thanks.
Please.
I just appreciate all the work that's being done, and knowing how much Rotary impacts local and internationally. So thank you all for your dedication and work.
Please.
And the same, yes, thank you, Wolf, not just for being here to receive the proclamation, but for making an extra point to educate people both about the efforts of Rotary and the impact. It's really inspiring to see a group of people who commit to a goal and to have that goal pretty much met in my lifetime, eradication of polio. So congratulations, and thank you for continuing the good work.
Yeah, thank you for all the good works that you do. You've really led the charge on this for the local Rotary clubs, and we appreciate it. Every year, the majority of the funds are raised at something we call the world's greatest meal, where we all gather together as Rotarians and we break bread, and all of those proceeds go to, to eradicate polio. So we appreciate those efforts in the community. Now we're going to take a picture. I'm going to invite my city manager to come up, my police chief to come. Yes. Sure.
So actually, a segue, the polio effort by Rotary was actually started in the Philippines. It was a single Rotary club in the Philippines that was, their country was being decimated by polio. And they said, we want to immunate all the children in the Philippines. And the government says, it's impossible, you can't do it. Well, you don't tell a Rotarian you can't do something. And they actually succeeded in wiping out polio from the Philippines, and that became the start of Rotary's End Polio Now campaign worldwide.
Thank you for that additional information. So let's get up and take a picture. And like I said, look at the city manager. And where's the police chief? He's hiding back there somewhere, I don't know. He went outside, okay. There he is. Okay, department head briefings, we don't have any, so we'll proceed to public comment. Public comment for an item that is not on the agenda this evening. And we'll start off with a trifecta. Mr. Alexander, please, welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor. Spiritual courage with critical thinking. The call to action for the insanity is still stinking. The system got everyone divided, the protesters grouping. Is this how it feels? Protesters only spinning their wheels via the foolishness of forever looping? I am Peter, and I am poetically rapping, illuminating a system upon this public that's be crapping. And yes, I am a 5150, and my missives are vibrantly nifty. This redistricting by Democrats and Repubs is a politically looping joke played upon us Californians by Donatello Trump and the governor who snorts coke. Because the 13th Amendment says no title of nobility may be permitted in public office. It is these esquires, the nobility title of lawyers, that runs D.C., the House and the Senate, and most of the political places. So it nulls and voids the entire concept of redistricting. It is just an exercise in futility and foolishness. For both sides together embrace collusion, so yapping protesters hold signs amidst illusions. The profusion of illusion requires you neither think nor truly act. Only general striking the system into submission saves the day, and that's a fact. For aren't we all weary of the never-ending dirty laundry? Who would you have followed, Gandhi? Does freedom and liberty in your hearts truly sing? Would you have followed Martin Luther King? Anyone listening, have you watched The Sound of Freedom about the vicious ongoing trafficking of children? Know this, spiritual warfare is very real, along with predictable protocols and rules that they never taught you in schools. Truth is, the masses provide spiritual permission to maintain child trafficking by blindly maintaining the slaughterhouse bloodlust trade of 14 million throat-cut sentients every day. Swedenborg authoritatively asserted mankind's fall from grace began as the vampire patriarchal flesh industry escalated. So, most all-American religions and politicians operate as warmongering, supporting patriarchal, vampiric, forever oppressing the feminine. And today be one more day that 54 years later counting, wrongfully imprisoned and ignored by all, Green Beret surgeon Dr. Jeffrey McDonald, the veteran, still in prison. Know this, as I truly tell you, the currently ongoing case in Courtroom 9, Zoe Rosenberg, animal freedom case, is being watched nationwide and worldwide as the loving warriors intend freedom for all sentient beings, whereas the vampirical, patriarchal operators are terrified that the connection to animal factory farms, harvesting of organs,
Peter, your time is up.
will occur.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Mr. Steve Keith, please. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Madam Mayor, council members and staff. Two things I wanted to talk about briefly was curiosity and the right to hear. You may have heard a Walt Whitman quote, or attributed to Walt Whitman, be curious, not judgmental. Interestingly, my work with Friends of the Library has exposed me to a lot of poetry and literature and so forth. And it turns out Walt never said that. He did write extensively about it in Leaves of Grass, the concept of being curious. I like that. I like the concept. To act on your curiosity does take courage. To cross the street and ask a neighbor, to talk to a neighbor. We often judge from our side and pass along our problems to someone else over the phone. I don't think that's healthy. So I would encourage curiosity. The right to free speech is also the right to hear the arguments that may differ from our own. To ensure that we To ensure that, we need a reasonable amount of time to freely express as well as listen. Listening aids, closed caption, and translation services should enjoy our full support with those things in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Pengel, please. Welcome.
Good evening,
Good evening.
all of you. I was going to go down and name all the names, but good evening. I'm Miriam Pengel, president of the Rohnert Park Pickleball Club, and I'm here once again, not for an ask this time. I wanted to come and just thank you very much. I'm not sure that you're all aware of what took place over the last maybe 3 weeks ago. You guys came in and painted all the courts, most of them. Some of them didn't quite get any paint on them, but the city came in and put in brand new posts. And so now we have permanent nets. The courts look like pickleball courts, not tennis courts. And, you know, what happened is, you know, we were going to get a big reconstruction. Everybody knows that. Didn't happen, and it was going to be nothing. So we rallied our troops and met with Marcella. And we rallied the village to fundraise $30,000 so that we could get some permanency in our courts. We have a huge following, and I just wanted to make sure that I came and said, thank you. Our village is very, very appreciative for this. We had to maintain those crappy, sorry, I didn't mean to say that word, the lousy temporary nets. They were terrible. Gosh, it was terrible. But anyway, I thank my sister Molly because she and I had to run down to Marin and pick up all the goods and drop it off at DPW. But in particular, I wanted to thank Marcella for your cooperation very much. Thank you to all the council for your support. I wanted to thank Susan in particular. She's always been in our corner. Cindy Bagley, she's here tonight. I wanted to thank you for everything that you've done to support us. We really do appreciate your support. And I wanted to thank Amanda. She stepped in as the head of DPW, and she was awesome. And she's a woman who kind of told me what she meant and meant what she told me, and she did it. And we've had problems out there with lights. I saw her out there herself about 6 times. But the crew, the installation crew, Joe Hansen, Charles Fowler, Brian Falk, Mario Gomez, Steve Tweedy, Louis Guzman, Eduardo Perez, Miguel Valencia, Joe Nelson, and John Reefsteck. We thank them very much. They worked very hard in a lot of heat when we had all those 100-degree heats and we were in our AC. They were sitting out there on those courts doing their work. I appreciated that, and so do all of us. We work very hard as a club to spread a big light on our community. So I just wanted to say thank you for letting us do that on these nicer courts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And finally, Ken, and I can't read the last name, starts with an R. I apologize. Please, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. This is my first time here. My name's Kenny Rosler, and I'm going to speak to you from my heart and from my soul, something very deep inside me. I moved here with my wife, my son, and my cat, E.T. In 1991, I moved to Santa Rosa. Kenny Rosler moved to Santa Rosa. And I had a business there for 23 years called Spectrum Photo Video. I'm not going through the whole thing, but I've made lots of videos, and I've copied videos. And one day, this is something that changed my life. Dr. Ed Bowman, who started Bowman College, brought me a videotape. It was called Diet for a New America. I don't know, anybody heard of Diet for New America? Raise your hand if you have. You haven't, okay. John Robbins. Anyone heard of John Robbins? Okay, John Robbins was the son of Baskin Robbins. Irving Robbins was his father. Baskin was his uncle. Long story short, he was going to be the heir of Baskin Robbins. The book came out in 1987, was Pulitzer Prize nominated. And I knew people who were vegetarians. He walked away from Baskin Robbins. There was a movie about it last year, From Money to Love. And he was sick, and in order to heal himself, he learned a lot about health. Bottom line, I saw slaughterhouses for the first time. I had no idea. I ate hamburgers, hot dogs, chickens, drank milk, and it horrified me. It angered me. And I saw Dr. T. Colin Campbell in the video. I watched that video 10 times, and I read the book. I went on to go to many vegetarian, vegan out. Okay, so what goes on in a slaughterhouse, I've never seen it on a TV. I've never seen it in a school. I'm a school teacher. I've never seen them talked about in a church or a synagogue. There's cruelty. We kill 70 billion chickens, turkeys, cows, and pigs. I'm talking about our species in 1 year. And we don't see the violence and the cruelty, unbelievable cruelty. Okay, I come from a Jewish background, and I know about Nazis, and I know about concentration camps. I'll tell you, one of my teachers, I have two top teachers in the world, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, who's an Essene rabbi, a psychiatrist, a yoga master. And he's been healthy vegan for 55 years, raw food vegan, not one vaccine, not one pharmaceutical drug, and he has not been sick one day. He's 82 years old. You could look him up, Gabriel Cousins, C-U-S-E-N-S. He used to live in Petaluma. And he can do 1,800 push-ups every day. He's not an egotist. So I'm speaking out for, I'm an animal rights activist, been vegetarian 21 years, vegan for 11.
Thank you, sir.
All beings be happy and free from suffering.
Thank you
That's
very
what
much.
I pray for. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Do any of my colleagues like to pull or make a comment on anything on the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull item, I believe it's, let me double check it's the right one. Item 7F, please.
Okay, please note that item 7F is pulled. And can I get a motion to adopt the remainder of the consent calendar minus 7F?
I motion that we adopt the consent calendar with the exception of 7F.
Okay, does that have a second?
I second that.
Okay, we'll do a vote of affirmation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries 5-0 with no opposition. 4-0, excuse me, with no opposition. And I will turn to my colleague.
So I wanted to go through, I thought the staff report was great, but I want to make sure that it's very clear, not only to our public, but also to the county, in terms of the Measure H funding agreement with the County of Sonoma and City of Rohnert Park. The report shows that it's for public safety officers, but my understanding is legality of Measure H, even though the title of our employees is public safety officers, this funding can only cover when they're on shift as a firefighter and not on shift when they're patrolling as an officer.
Okay.
Is that, I want to make sure that that's correct and that we're understanding that funding so that, one, there's expectations there that we all are clear on, and that also the county is clear that even though we have it titled that way, that we are only using it the way that it's legally supposed to be used.
Okay, the chair recognizes Director of Finance, Betsy Howes.
Good evening, everyone. So I do want to clarify that you are absolutely correct. So the way we do our budget is we budget by positions. And so we know how many general fund positions we have, we know how many we have in the different areas. And one of the things that we did was when we started moving forward with the Measure H, we added last fiscal year 2 public safety officers that were going to be included in Measure H. And so that was in order for us to be able to start sending staff to the academy. And then as part of the fiscal year 25-26 budget, we added an additional 2. So we now have a total of 4 public safety officers, and those positions are budgeted, and they can only be used for Measure H funding. So as you know, because we're public safety, we have staff that moves back and forth. But we never lose track of the positions, and we would only have them being charged to Measure H when they are doing Measure H type activities. And we do have a little bit of leeway because we are public safety, so we are allowed to charge training for both sides to that measure, because that's what it takes in order to be able to have a position in fire, is they have to be a fully trained public safety officer.
Okay, so I guess to further clarify, so if I were an officer and I'm Officer Rodriguez and I'm patrolling, that funding would not come through Measure H.
That is correct.
If I'm Officer Rodriguez who is patrolling but went to a training that has to do with firefighting, that could be billed to Measure H.
That is correct.
Okay.
So
and
we
then
have a couple of trainings already scheduled as part of Measure H. We're doing some swift water training, and that can be used to get those officers trained.
Okay, but then when I go on to my rotation, per the contracts and the agreements and all that, as a firefighter, then my salary could be billed, could be billed through Measure H.
So fire does a rotation, and so the positions are actually Measure H, but the bodies may change, but the positions does not. So we would slide a public safety officer coming off of patrol, they would slide into that position for Measure H, and we fill out the time cards. They would fill out their time cards to Measure H. So it doesn't follow the name of the person, it follows the position and the function that they are performing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from colleagues?
No, I was going to say thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez, for that clarification. That is good. So that way we have it on record, and in case the county doesn't really understand our system. So thank you.
Vice Mayor, any comments?
I don't know if this is probably a better question, maybe not for Ms. House, but with these additional two that we added last year, and then our 2 battalion chiefs, is that now filling out our staff? Like, are we still shy on firefighters with that? Is there room to add more firefighters? So maybe that's a JV question.
The ultimate plan, so when the Chiefs Association and the rest of the organizations were working on this, each one of the entities kind of provided a guide for what they thought they would want to spend the money on. Mm-hmm. And that's how they determined how they would break up the percentages. And Rohnert Park gets 5.5% of the pot based on the things that we said that we needed. So we had a variety of things. We had asked for 9 additional firefighters, and we currently have 4. And those are different levels of positions. They aren't necessarily just firefighters, but they might be lieutenants or other positions. But there was that. And then we had planned about $800,000 for equipment, which was mainly for replacement of a fire engine. And then there's also, we said we needed about $5 million to do a retrofit for station number 2. And then we needed several $1,000,000 in order to be able to do a new fire station. And so we have an expenditure plan where we've costed out how much money is coming in and what these various things cost. And so for the time being, we're trying to hold back a little bit on the staffing so that we can accumulate funds to be able to do those other capital improvements. Because if we just did the staffing, we would not be able to do those other improvements. And we also wouldn't have enough money to bond. So eventually, once we get enough money saved up, we can go to bond to be able to finish those enhancements, and we would have enough money to pay those debt service costs and be able to fund the additional fire staff. So that's kind of where we're heading now with
that is exactly what I needed to understand. Thank you for helping to fill out the rest of that equation for me.
Certainly.
And I see the Director of Human Resources stood up, but then is sitting back down. Do you have further? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from my colleagues? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, if I may, the resolution was revised. You have a copy of the revised version at the dais. The revision was to the now therefore it be resolved section. It now will read by the City Council of the city that it does hereby approve the First Amendment to the Measure H funding agreement with the county in substantially similar form as attached hereunto as Exhibit B.
Thank you. So can the motion include that alteration, please?
The motion would be approve item 7, sorry, thanks. Approve item 7F as amended.
As amended, okay.
I'll make motion to approve item 7F as amended.
Thank you. Does that have a second?
A second.
Okay, we'll do a vote of affirmation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries without opposition, 4-0. Thank you very much. We will move on to our regular item this evening. And who is presenting this, Madam City Manager? I see.
Ali, our Director of Development Services.
Please, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm Ellie Judici. I'm the Director of Development Services. I also wanted to recognize tonight Bob Curry and Aaron Hall, who were really running to get this code adoption completed in time. The code adoptions are delivered by the state and in July, and we have to get them done and adopted so that they can take effect by January 2026. So the California Building Standards Commission is the agency that's responsible for adopting and maintaining and updating the building standards. And they're updating them every 3 years, and therefore they're called the triennial building code standards. The current update for this year focuses on three things. One is it provides clarification in some of the code sections. It corrects references to sections of the code from prior adoptions. And this year, the commission grabbed different sections of the code that related to fire and wildland urban interface and combined them into one section and is a separate chapter now. The codes that the commission adopted become effective January 1st of 2026. So cities need to adopt local standards if they're going to adopt local standards, and that has to happen at least 30 days ahead of time to take effect January 1st. This year, the state, as part of their budget amendments in June, known as AB 130, also adopted local amendments that restricted adopted amendments that restricted what agencies could do related to standards for residential units. So local amendments must be supported by local climatic, topographic, or geological conditions, and that's just a standard requirement for all code adoptions. For this year, agencies cannot adopt any local amendments if they weren't already in place by September 30, 2025. So there are some exceptions that include the need to address emergency situations. The changes or modifications relate to home hardening, and changes or modifications related to administrative practices if it results in things like reduction in time for issuing permits, reduction in costs for internal processes, modernization of new permit platforms, clarification regarding enforcement of building codes, to name a few. So staff is proposing two local amendments. One is that there is an update to the noticing of violations. That amendment essentially prohibits removal of the notice of violation. This became apparent earlier this year when we were, a couple of times we noticed violations and wanted to make sure that those postings were not removed. It's important for situations where there may be structural issues and we don't want the notice of violation removed. And, you know, in the event somebody removes them, they could come into the building and there may be concerns about their safety. So it's important to include that in the local amendments. Another thing that comes up often is location of fire hydrants and connections. And it was necessary to adopt that so that our fire marshal is able to enforce regulations that are already in place as guidelines, but including them in the code helps with implementing that requirement. So the combined building code standards are known as Title 15 in our municipal code. It includes a list of different code types, including the general provisions, the building code, the residential code, electrical code, mechanical code, and plumbing code. And it also includes building codes related to existing buildings. It includes the green building code, the fire code, and then adoption of the wildland urban interface code. That is the new section of the standards. So tonight, the staff is asking that your council introduce the ordinance and set a public hearing date. That public hearing date would be October 28th. And at that meeting, the city council would hold a public hearing and then adopt the ordinance. The ordinance would then be filed with the Building Standards Commission, and we expect that to happen by the end of the month. And then with the acceptance of the ordinance by the Building Standards Commission, the ordinance would become effective January 1st. And that concludes my presentation, unless either of you have
anything to add?
And
okay. Okay.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. But before we do that, we'd like to hear from the public. I do have a speaker card. Mr. Steve Keith, please.
Thank you. It's evening now. Mayor, Madam Mayor, council members and staff. Now my notes just disappeared. Apologies just for a second. Thank you for the report. I appreciate it when, whether it's city staff or state or staff have a willingness to refine code, certainly when it makes things a little bit less confusing. Just in my experience going through Title 17 and coming up with suggestions in reform there, you dive down into a rabbit hole fairly quickly. There's references and links to a lot of different codes through state and county and so forth. It's my understanding that local municipalities are limited in adopting codes that may be in conflict with established state standards. And it's not my intention to quarrel with the state over building codes. I do support refining codes so that they're easier for residents to comprehend. I don't think it mentioned it here in the slides, but in the report that's attached to the staff that's attached to this, it mentions, there's a mention of allowing discretion in one of the adoptions, local adoptions, giving discretion to inspectors. If I'm not mistaken, I think it may have been referring to a power panel or something. With that in mind, I believe that discretion without written guidelines guarantees unequal enforcement as staff turns over. I have personal experience with this regarding Title 17. That's been around for over 20 years. And in that 20 years, you can imagine there's been quite a few code enforcement. Actually, the positions of code enforcement has changed significantly. The titles have changed a lot within those 20 years. And there's been different staff members with different interpretations of codes. And it could be radically different. Though we may enjoy the reasonable approach of current staff, it wasn't always that way, and it will likely to change. So if there's anything I'd want to see in a process like this, other than actually reading this and not waiving it just by the title, is to come up with some sort of written guidelines that ensure an equal enforcement, or guidelines to discretion, I'm sorry, Didn't realize the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will turn to my colleagues. Questions, comments?
So I have just a brief question about the time frame for public hearing. It seems like we have just like a few weeks. And I know that that has to be done, but my concern will be, do we have time to even have our constituent to know about it, and how are we going to do that in a small time frame and making sure that, you know, they are aware of what is happening, because sometimes we can give them long period of time and it's often problematic. So I'm kind of concerned about the time frame that we are given to do everything by the end of the month.
That's a good question. So the way the code, the legislation works for the city's adopting a model code or a state code by reference, we are obligated to set the public hearing and provide notice publicized in a local newspaper, and that provides the opportunity for people to be notified. And once that's done, there's still a time frame between the October date until January 1st for people to be aware and become familiar with the code. In this case, the changes are really largely clarifications and re-referencing to sections of the code. In the prior adoption, there were some changes that occurred, and those sections were, the reference to those sections were not correct, although we were able to find them. There was this update focuses on making sure that the references are accurate. So does that answer your question?
My question is, I understand that part, but my concern is we only have about 16 days, right? And when we come back, that include you guys going and letting people know in the next 16 days, and then we have to vote on in 16 days, pretty much. So what you're saying is that after we have voted, there could be an amendment, or how? I'm just concerned about how the public will be aware of these before we vote in 16 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It is a tight time frame. We normally received, and Bob, feel free to jump in if I'm misquoting, but we received the code updates in July-ish. So we are actually running to get things together and to your council on time. So yeah, yes, that's correct. It is a very tight timeline. Fortunately, there's awareness that the codes get updated every 3 years. So contractors are aware that there's a code change update happening. That's typically true. I mean, one of the things that we could do is provide proactive outreach during this next 2 weeks. I think that typically is what happens, is we reach out to the local building association and just let them know, let them become aware. We will also, we have now started doing, with our PIO, started doing updates on our website, informing residents and contractors that there are city council meetings that are coming up and what's on the agenda, and that sort of thing. Did that answer your question?
Actually, I'd like to call on the city attorney to provide a little bit more background on this.
Yes, so this process is the process that we always use when we're amending our building codes. Sorry. And what it is tonight is the public hearing.
I understand that.
So we are introducing the ordinance tonight.
I understand that, but that's not my question there. I know we are starting the process today. That's not my question. It's just the time frame that we are giving our constituent until we come back and finalize it. That's my question.
and this is what we do with every ordinance. And so if you would like a different timeline, that's different, but that's not what the law requires, and that's not what we normally do. So what we normally do is we introduce the ordinance tonight, then in 2 weeks, there is a second reading where you are confirming that you want to adopt these code amendments tonight. We have a public hearing. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on the changes.
And I think Councilmember Rodriguez would like to.
I want to make sure I'm also clear that the timeline of this is we have to meet an October 30th deadline. Is that correct, or?
So the timeline that we have to meet is we have to have the local amendments done at least 30 days before. That'll give us time to submit our amendments to the commission and receive confirmation and have a code that's ready for implementation on January 1. Okay. So the timeline is partially based on the fact that we have limited time after the October date. So we're trying to get that done so there's sufficient time for us to send to the commission our updated code. If there are any changes, it allows us time to make those adjustments and come back to your council if necessary, and have a code ready to adopt.
And although I appreciate that we are working with our PIO, I look at those posts as well, and it's not as much engagement yet. People are getting used to us posting these types of things about the city council meetings. We also, yes, we post about it, but people have jobs and families that they're raising, so we're kind of right at dinner time right now, right? So it's not necessarily that they don't want to participate and give public comment. I'm curious, though, as we do outreach in this short amount of time, would it be appropriate to maybe have staff available at the Pumpkin Splash or the upcoming Halloween Carnival, that if they weren't aware and we're already putting on an event, they can ask questions there or just know a little bit more? I think the concern, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Elward, is given the past few, I would say, months, and I think just the overall climate, people want to know what's happening in their government, local and above, and sometimes it can get confusing. So we do this, right, every day. Our staff are incredible and do it, and it makes sense because you're seeing it, but it might not make sense to somebody else, or if it's a brand new business, right, or a brand new contractor coming in, that they miss that. And I know we will never get 100% of the people. I know that. But I'm just trying to think outside the box. Is there something else we can do without jeopardizing this timeline so that our staff can get it done in time, where we can also show up and maybe even us as council members show up and, I don't know, have talking points for us to respond to folks if they have these questions while we're out in public?
Yeah, I'd like Madam City Manager to respond to that.
So we can participate, and I'm looking at our community services director, because I know typically we do have booths or a table at these events by our community services department, so I'm sure that our development services staff can provide information and make the public aware that we're going through this update. So I'm sure we can do that.
Okay, does that have the consensus of the entire council? Yes, okay.
May I add one more thing?
Sure.
I think just listening to the concerns, a couple of things that come to mind are adding, like posting, this is very typical, but posting at our front counter that their code changes are coming up January 1st, and then just reaching out to the Redwood Empire and making sure that we provide that information and they're aware and we are available for questions if needed.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. Any additional comments, questions from my colleagues? Okay, if
I do. I actually would like maybe in between that time for us to look at that. It's always tough because I trust our staff to have the discretion, but there is something to be said about turnover and just changes happening of, are there other parameters in between that we can kind of go through, or if somebody had further questions, or, it's like Councilmember Rodriguez doesn't like me and that's why they said yes or no, or whatever it may be. How are we also safeguarding our staff when we're allowing that type of discretion? So if we could just get something about that by the next meeting.
And are we in agreement with that as well? Okay. All right, so that's good direction. Anything additional? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Have to read this whole.
And do we have to read the whole thing? Yes.
I'll motion to introduce by title only and waiving the first reading, introducing an ordinance. Hold on. Nope. I will make motion for the ordinance for introduction by title only and waiving a first reading, ordinance 989, an ordinance repealing and replacing chapters 15.04 through 15.28 of the Title 15, quote, Building and Construction, end quote, of the Rohnert Park Municipal Code to adopt by reference the 2025 California Building Standards Code, Title 2.4 of the California Code of Regulations, Part 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 11, with local amendments as set forth in chapters 15.04, General Provisions and Penalties, 15.08, Building Code, 15.12 Residential Code, 15.16 Electrical Code, 15.18 Mechanical Code, 15.20 Plumbing Code, 15.22 Energy Code, 15.24 Existing Building Code, 15.26 Green Building Standards Code, and 15.28 Fire Code, and adding Chapter 15.30 Wildland-Urban Interface Code to Title 15, quote, Building and Construction, end quote.
Thank you for doing that.
And finding the ordinance exempt from review pursuant to 15061B3 of the California Environmental Quality Act, and setting a date of October 28th for the second reading. Sorry. Yeah. I thought I was on. And finding the ordinance exempt from review pursuant to Section 15061B3 of the California Environmental Quality Act, and setting a date of October 28th, 2025 for the second reading of the ordinance.
Okay, does that have the consent of the motion? Okay, does that have a second?
I will second.
Okay, we have a first and we have a second. Let's do a roll call vote on this, please.
Councilmember Adams is absent. Councilmember Elward?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sanborn?
Yes.
Mayor Giudice?
Aye.
Motion passes by 4-0-1 vote. Councilmember Adams is absent.
Thank you very much for your report. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Okay, we'll move on to committee liaison and other reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Elward, please.
Thank you, Mayor. On October 2nd, we had our Sonoma Clean Power meeting, and we went into business. The good news that came that day was SB 1221 passed and was signed into law. And that was one of the biggest legislative and regulatory update that we had. And we also received a presentation on energy sector regulation. And also we got the update on sponsored research at Princeton University for transmission planning under uncertainty. So that was one of the biggest thing too, because the organization now will be working with Princeton University for that particular transmission plan. And also we approved and authorized our CEO to negotiate and execute professional services agreement with all in hearing and cooling system that we're gonna have. synergy company. So we also gave him the authority to approve the negotiation with smart thermostat installation and appliance assessment both through December. And I have to say, the smart thermostat and it's really something that's they're not just focusing on regular people. This was really targeting low-income people to save about, $60 per year, and that helped them to have a better control of energy use in their homes. That's new, and they're trying to work with the tribes. They're trying to work with tribes and also our vulnerable communities, apartment. They're trying to work with those in apartment and yeah. And then we had our regular update on Sonoma Clean Power Authority internship program structure and recent developments. So this one is really cool because Sonoma Clean Power now is really focusing on our youth that can go and do internship program with them and just to help them to learn about what they're passionate about that they can use for their professional life. There is 2 or 3 people that went through that internship that got hired by Sonoma's Clean Power. That is it for Sonoma Clean Power. Then we're gonna go to the Homeless Coalition meeting. That happened on the 24th of September. It was a really quick meeting, believe it or not. So we're bringing Rohnert Park spirits there. So we had a really quick follow-up from our previous meeting with the transitional age group, seat updates, continuum of care program, and also a DVRRH transfer update. We got the report on the HMIS committee, lived experience advisory and planning board, or the LEAP. There have been a few changes that are happening, and during that meeting, we were actually talking about how we can have the organization has less committee, but intertwine and work together for better results. And also, we were talking about what the mayor and council member have been talking about, just instead of being single, we want to work on a regional level. That was a really great talk there. And also, we had our homeless team leadership update. And for this particular update here, I was going to say, we received finally our time in point counting. Time in point counting. Finally, we got the report that I'm sure we already received from the organization. So we talked briefly about emergency shelters utilization, because with everything that is going on right now, we know that we're gonna have some cuts on certain shelters. And so it's really problematic because there will be more people on the street based on everything that is going on, the cuts that is happening on a federal level, and that will really much impact every single thing that we've done here on a local level. So we were talking about it, as scary as it is. All I can say, we just need to be ready for what is coming. So that is my report.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
We did not have a Water Advisory Committee meeting or a Santa Rosa Plain Groundwater Sustainability Agency meeting in the month of October, but we will in November. So next week, I'm going to have an update for our next meeting. It'll be zero waste.
That makes that easy. So I'll go ahead and start off with Golden Gate Bridge. We met September 25th and 26th. The main focus was receiving the 5-year and 10-year financial projections as we try to plot a course to right the structural deficit that the district has. The district, along with our other agency partners, have been giving presentations around town, around the county, of mascots, rolling out the consolidated efforts of both the Marin transit operators and Sonoma County transit operators, and so that's been going very well. With regards to ferry, bus, and bridge, they are still trending up, but only incrementally, and we're still about 30% below pre-pandemic levels. Finally, the table has been set later on this month to award the construction contract for the seismic retrofit. We did have an SCTA meeting because yesterday was a holiday, so we had it on Monday, the 6th. The primary focus was to approve all of our budgets for the upcoming year, but we also received an update from MTC's Plan Bay Area 2050. Of important note is that SMART to Cloverdale is still in the plan. All the funding is not in the plan, but it is still in the plan. Excuse me. There's no meeting for November, so our next meeting will be December the 6th. But in a couple of transit-related activities, with SCTA, we cut the ribbon on the widening of the 101, and Caltrans has received robust comment about what folks think of the new HOV hours, and they are reviewing that, and SCTA will also send a letter kind of highlighting and flagging that for them. We also cut the ribbon on the bike pedestrian path from Rohnert Park to Santa Rosa. So now you can get from Santa Rosa all the way down into Rohnert Park, adjacent to where our new downtown will be. In fact, you can take it all the way down to Copeland Creek, make a left, go through Sonoma State University, and in a few months when we have the overcrossing or the crossing of Petaluma Hill Road, you'll be able to take it up into Crane Creek Regional Park. So that's very exciting. One thing I would like to report out on now, if I may, is the Cal Cities Conference. I've provided packets for all of my fellow council members. It was a good conference with different topics than we've seen in the past. We had a great keynote speaker, Crystal Washington. She's quite popular on the circuit. She's a futurist, not in like the astrological sense, but she analyzes data to predict technology strategies, and she did a wonderful presentation demystifying AR. So the session I attended on Wednesday was a 4-hour seminar addressing erosion of trust in local government. And although local government is the most trusted of the 3 branches, the trust has eroded over the years. We were provided a checklist of things we can do as a council in conjunction with city manager's office, and I'm happy to say that we are currently engaged on all 15 points, and I appreciate our city manager for that, including governance training, creating a culture of civility, establishing time limits for public comments, providing scripts when necessary for the council, guidance in responding to media, anticipating disruptions that can occur and developing a plan to deal with them, and govern transparently and fully comply with the open meeting laws. So that was very nice. Thursday, I attended Advancing Municipal Climate Action Through Partnerships, and I provided the outline for that. I attended the Building Climate Resilience, Innovating for the Future in a Changing Landscape, and I've attached that session as well with hopefully some insights as to how we can tap into Proposition 4, the climate bond money. Tapping into local state money is a lot more predictable than federal money. Finally, on Friday, I attended How Redlands Reduces Homelessness Through Strategy and Collaboration. And, there was a theme throughout all of these. Every time I went to one of these sessions and then I checked it against what we were doing, we're doing it. I mean, with regards to homelessness, there were jurisdictions there that were talking about, oh yeah, this Project Home Key, this is a new thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're on the second project now. And just all the different, pieces and things that we're doing. So just kudos to the staff, kudos to the city manager's office. Some things to pay attention to, however, for staff, is we need to take a real good look at the clean fleet regulations, and each jurisdiction is going to be called on to develop a transition plan in the next few years in order to be CARB compliant. So that's something that needs to be on our radar. And that concludes my report outs, but we have reports of government code, so we'll start with State of the Latino Community Address. Who would like to speak on that?
I will, as I was the only council member in attendance at that. I think first time in 5 years that we only had one of us there, but it was well attended. 600 people joined us here at Sonoma State. I'm happy to also report that I reached out to the Latino Community Foundation, and it was their first time. They actually ended up sponsoring a table at the event. So it's in the middle of Latino Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's at a Hispanic serving institution, and it's in Rohnert Park. And so I said, hey, you guys should come check out the North Bay and see what's going on and hear more. We heard from Maria Teresa Kumar, and she started Voto Latino. So she was just talking about kind of mobilizing with votes, very bipartisan, and how it needs to go. And just some of the myths in terms of voting and how that works, and how to kind of, where to find resources to know your rights and make sure that that's being shared. And then there was Valerie Carr, I believe was her last name. My apologies. And she kind of did a great, it was almost like a spoken word type presentation, but talked a lot about, self-care and communal care, and who do you want to be in these moments, and how that can affect your community at large. Sonu Chandi of the Chandi Hospitality Group, they own Mountain Mike's and Beer Baron, and they actually hosted Valerie and a few members of Los Cien the night before to kind of meet and discuss more, and knowing what community was. And it actually sparked for Sonoma County's Community Foundation CEO Oscar Chavez to share his story. So there was a lot of feedback from folks that were like, oh, Oscar usually, like, he'll MC and he'll welcome everybody and he'll do his thing. And to hear a bit more of his story, I think really allowed for conversation within the community and folks that attended. And so congratulations to Los Cien for, I think this was the fastest that they had sold out. So much so that usually they have about like 20, I think, tables for general seating, and this year they only had 10. So that's how many kind of community members were coming and attending this thing. And I mean, it's great for networking, but it's also great to hear the state of the Latino community within Sonoma County and beyond. And kudos to Sonoma State for hosting it again as well in their ballroom. So it was good. And then Noontime's networking luncheon, I believe I also was the only one there this time, but we had a presentation from Kaiser Permanente, so it was kind of good to hear what they've got going on. Flu clinic, COVID clinic are happening. I actually waited in the wrong line because I had to go to the pharmacy and found out it was the flu clinic line for a minute. So they're very busy, but it's great. And so just, keep that in mind and give them a call if you have questions. And they're trying to meet the needs of their clientele as well.
Okay, we'll roll right into communications. Anyone? Please.
Okay, I guess that's me. So you heard a little bit earlier, we have the pumpkin splash happening this Saturday. You can find more on the website. And then on Saturday, October 25th, it is our annual Halloween Carnival and Dia de los Muertos, also the Haunt. You can find more of that online as well. The one thing I'm pretty excited about right now is on October 16th, and Chief and Marcella know I have been really pushing for something like this. The City of Rohnert Park, in partnership with the Cotati-Rohnert Park School District and the City of Cotati, are all participating in the Great Shakeout. So we are actually going to be at 2 school sites and kind of doing I forget the word, I guess a run through, a simulation, thank you, with our partners to know. Part of when I started on the council, I realized we didn't really communicate with our partner agencies, right? So the kids and the staff of the school districts live and are here. Our first responders are responding. Teachers are trained one thing, first responders are trained another thing. How are we making sure that they're able to talk? So there's been a lot of behind the scenes work, and even in there's been a few moments of like, oh, what would we do in that situation? So again, we're never gonna have all the scenarios possible. Anything is possible in an emergency, but just know that on October 16th, we will be participating with them in that. And so just, if you're on the road, be a little bit more aware. There might be some extra traffic as we go through these scenarios, and then be able to learn from the school district what worked for them, what didn't, or what are things that they look at differently than we might as a municipality. I think that's it for now. Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else? Vice Mayor.
I've got a fun one. This week, we are supposed to get delivery of one of the first in the state recycling facilities right outside of Flipside Thrift Store across from Kabayan Filipino Market. So you will be able to take your recyclable things, drop them in, and get your cash money there. And actually, I think digital money too. So highly recommend it, and I'm sure we'll do something on social when we figure out when that thing's going to land. I think the rain has probably thrown a little wrench in delivery.
Okay, anyone else? All right, adding agenda items to a future council meeting, please.
I believe I had asked for this before, but I would like to bring it back up. I would like to have us review again the flock system that we believe we received a grant to. Lots of questions coming up. I think they've had a couple.
Okay, does that require a second, or you've got that? Because I think we did talk about that before. Do we need to have an, I'll say yes.
Thank you. Yes, we'll have public safety bring back a report on the status of that.
Okay,
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we reached the end of the meeting. Any further public comment? Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.